All right. Hi, guys. Thanks for watching in this morning. We're going to go over some incident command system orientation. Some of the stuff we're doing with that, and I want to thank you. First of all, I want to thank you for your willingness to possibly work in the Emergency Operations Center. What we're going to do today is give you an overview of what the Emergency Operations Center does and how each area works together, but also works independently. So the purpose of this is an overview. We're going to look at some background, some history, what are the components of it, how the organization, and how does it function. Incidents that involve any type of response require a command. Every time we go out on a call as the fire service, we have a command. And that command takes everything until we give it away. But without that in place, we just have chaos. There's no way to manage without a command structure and putting everything together. And that's what the need is for the management system. In Oregon, we use NIMS. And it's just a different form of incident command. When I first got in the fire service, which was about 30 years ago, we had several different types of emergency command systems. And everybody came together as a nation and said, we're only going to use one. And so now we have the one system. So it consists of procedures for controlling personnel, facilities, equipment, and communications. How we put all that together. And it's the safe application and management of resources. So we don't want to use things a few times. We want to use things once. We don't like people asking for the same thing. We want one person asking for those. And that gives us some efficiency to manage the incident. So we're going to go over this in depth. But components of ICS, common terminology. Everybody has a little bit different terminology. You working in your business have terminology that I don't have any idea what you're talking about. You in your areas of the city don't have your own terminology, which I wouldn't understand, and our own acronyms. We have acronyms for everything anymore. We break everything down to acronyms. We need a common terminology, and in ICS we have a common terminology. And so the modular organization, it can get bigger or it can get smaller. We can make it move how we want it. Integrated communications, everybody has to communicate in the ICS system so we know what's going on. Unified command, right now with the COVID-19, we're in a unified command. Canby Fire District, and the city of Canby are in a command together. We're working together to manage the COVID-19. Consolidated action plans. We're working together for one action plan. How do we make that work? In a manageable span of control. If you've ever worked someplace that you have 10 or 15 people talking to you at once, it doesn't work. So we're going to manage that span of control. And pre-designated incident facilities. Right now, our EOC is working out of the fire station. At the fire station, we have what's called the training room. In that training room, we have several phone lines coming in, and DirectLink has been great for putting in a few more phone lines at very short notice lately. So we have all those coming into one room. We have the table set up. We're ready. We have phones at every table. We're ready for this type of incident. And comprehensive resource management. How do we manage our resources? So a manageable span of control. For emergency operations, it's always 1 to 7. But we really don't want more than 5 people talking to us. So talking about this emergency operations center or the system itself, when I was in California, there was 8,000 people on one fire. It was managed of the same ICS system. The same one that we're using today on every call we go out on was used there. There was never more than 7 people talking to one person. It just keeps breaking down. So we go from a command to an operations, and we break it down from there to divisions and branches, and we keep breaking it down. So you're never talking to more than normally 5 people. That's optimum, that we never have more than 5 people reporting to us. If we do, there's greater risk. Our safety factors go away, and there's a greater we need to limit that span of control. So as the risk goes up, the optimum goes down. So if we have a really high risk something we're doing, we wouldn't have 7 people talking to us. We may only have 3 or 4. We may break it down to that far, to keep breaking it down to limit that span of control. So we're going to talk about the ICS categories. We have command, we have operations, we have planning, we have logistics, and we have finance. Those are the general areas of ICS. Those are functional areas of ICS. So they're not necessarily a person, a unit, or a position. Command is the one function that's always staffed. We go out on a very simple car accident today. Command would, our battalion chief would arrive, BC 360s arrived, I'm taking command. So he would then be command. And with that, he takes command, he takes all the functional areas until he decides to take those away. So, and we have staff command, and then additional function areas are staffed as needed to control the incident and to break that down and to keep that span of control down to a usable, functional level. And I just talked about it. Anything that the incident commander, anything that they don't assign, it belongs to them. So they then have to do everything. So as on a small incident, a single car motor vehicle accident, most of the time command will keep the majority of those functional areas. He may give one away that I can think of, but most of the time he stays with his functional areas. Cut. All right, we are back. Sorry about that. We had a little technical difficulty, well, a whole bunch of technical difficulty. The computer shut down. So let's talk about incident command duty. I talked about this just a minute ago. And if the incident commander takes it, he has it all until they're delegated to somebody else. So he wears all the hats until it's given away. So there are two staffing levels. We got command staff and then we got general staff. So command staff. So I talked about those functional levels and never more than 5 to 7, but command's just a little bit different. He has his command staff with the safety officer, the information officer, and the liaison officer all work under command. So they don't count in his 5 to 7. General staff. General staff functions are operations, planning, logistics, and finance. All checked. Section chiefs answer to the IC. Section chiefs, they build their own team, but they can never have 5 to 7. And the chief then keeps everything that's not delegated. So this is how a command organization looks like. We have command, we have his staff, safety, liaison, and information, but then he has operations, planning, logistics, and finance. Right now, we are set up, we have command in place. We really have a safety officer in place. We got a public information spot in place. We're running operations. We're running planning. Planning's looking for what's going to happen. We have a logistics up. We've had logistics up since last Thursday. And we have a finance unit. Who's going to pay for it and can we afford it? So what does command do? He assesses all the priorities. He determines what the goals and the tactics are for the objectives. He develops an action plan. What are we going to do? He then looks at what his organizational structure is. And that's why we're training everybody or trying to give you guys a really good idea. Because if our command says, hey, this is getting big, this COVID-19 is getting really big, we'll bring up all the organizational structure pieces, or a lot of them, and that's why we need to train people and get you in there. He's going to coordinate all the emergency activities. He ensures fiscal accountability. And the way he does that is he assigns finance. But he also authorizes the release of information to the media. So the PIO goes through command and says, hey, can I turn this out? Or he'll assign somebody for him or her for his best, with the best judgment to put the stuff out. We have to ensure documentation and reporting and coordinate with activities that are outside of our own agency. We're working with a bunch of different agencies right now. So safety officer. Safety officer is the only person that can change what command's doing or stop anything that he sees that's unsafe. So he ensures personnel safety. He's looking and assessing unsafe situations. He monitors and documents use of protective clothing. Protective clothing is huge right now. With our N95 masks, our gowns, our Tyvek suits, our face shields when we're doing patient care. And he must be knowledgeable of all the site hazards and what's going on. Public information officer. He gathers all the information about the incident. He works on putting releases out. He serves for that primary point of contact for both the media and for the public. They're also, I look at the public information officer, not only as the information officer, he's also a public educator. He's trying to help educate the public, and that's one of our big problems right now. And that's one of the issues that we have with social media. Social media is a great thing to put stuff out on and to do things with, but it also gives the opportunity for rumors to get started, and it gives the opportunity for a lot of things that we have to then combat against and to set things straight, because they can get embedded pretty deep in social media before you get an action on them. And we coordinate media briefings and visits. There are no visits right now. We're not bringing the media into our EOC. We're telling everybody to stay home. We will be doing a public meeting, but we'll be doing it just exactly like we're doing this training for you. We're going to do a public meeting and get that information out there. Liaison officer, he's a point of contact for everybody else. So we're liaison with like the Red Cross or any other organizations. Say we're doing something on a fire and we need to liaison not only with the people that own properties, but we would liaison with the National Forest, and we would liaison with a bunch of different organizations to get our job done, because they're the owners of those properties and we need to work with them. We are working with CDC. We're working with all the different agencies right now for the health hazards. So let's talk about general staff. So we have operations, planning, logistics, and finance. Operations, they're there to assist the IC with developing his strategic goals and his tactics or objectives on how he's going to get things done. They're helping with that plan. Operations then develops an operational plan. How are we operationally going to make this happen and do what the IC wants? He's going to let the IC know what's the current situation and what's resource status. That's a huge one, resource status. What does that mean? What does that mean in our COVID-19? How about gowns, masks, suits, those things to keep our responders safe is what we're worried about right now, and how we're going to get those. So operations is going to come down and say, we are out of Tyvek suits. That goes to somebody else, and we'll talk about that in a minute. We're out of Tyvek suits. How do we get, I need more. So that moves on down the line. He assists in the development of the incident action plan, and he manages all the tactical activities. Tactically, what are we going to do, and what does that mean? There can be one operations chief, and then we break this down into several branches or divisions. So we keep breaking it down, and we can manage the whole incident. Planning. Planning is in charge of tracking all personnel and resources that are assigned. So they track everybody that's been assigned. They develop a contingency plan. What if? What if this happens? What if that happens? We have to plan for that. We need that contingency plan. They document the incident activities. What's happening? They're going to document all that. They prepare an incident action plan. So every day, Chief English is working in planning. He has developed an incident action plan for that day. So we get a situation report, we get an incident action plan that's all put together, and this is what's going to happen for our day. Planning identifies resource needs. They identify what they might need. So they're looking at contingency plan. They're also looking at what may I need in the future. And then, just like I talked about the 8,000 people on one fire, how do you just can't say, hey, fire's out, everybody go home. Develop a demob plan. Develop a way to send people back home. And this may be as simple as the EOC. We may bring the EOC up and we may operate at 12 hours a day. What happens after that 12 hours? How long do we demob the people that are in there? How long do we let them be off before they come back? That's something that will be developed by the demob plan in planning. Logistics chief. Participate in development of the incident action plan. They work on those things. They order, receive, store, and process all personal equipment and supplies. If we need something, we go to logistics and say, logistics, get me this. One of the things that's been sent to me, it came down the line from the chief that says, I need gowns. Our guys in the field, we're about out of gowns. So we put in an order for 600 gowns. We put the orders in to get the supplies, or we find them. We need a facility. I find the facility that we're going to need to do things. Just like this training. That's one of the things that came up, is we need to do training for the people that could possibly work in the Emergency Operations Center. So with that, we found a facility. We're in the council chambers. So we're in the council chambers. We're doing this facility. We figured out how to do it so you guys didn't have to come in, because we don't want anybody out and about. We want you to stay home. So we're in the facility. We're teaching this so we can virtually get it out to everybody. We establish, maintain all the incident facilities. So any facilities we need, that's up to logistics to maintain those facilities. And we provide food and water to responders. So not to the general public, but to the responders. Everybody that's working under the ICS, we provide the food and water for, right now it's for the EOC. What do we have for the EOC? How many people could we possibly have come in there? And what are we going to need in our future? So we've got some food supplies, some snack supplies, some of those things to go along for the responders that are working in the EOC. Provide the medical services for the responders. If somebody gets exposed to COVID-19, one of our responders get exposed, how do we get them, or where do we send them to get tested? That's one of the things that's the responsibility of logistics. We have if there was a communications thing set up right now, a communications unit, communication works under logistics. Their unit works under us for all the communications and also service of communications. So we've been working on that, and I talked about it. We worked with DirectLink pretty closely the last few days. We needed a couple more phone lines. We needed a conference call line. We needed a conference call phone. So Chief comes down and says, we need this, so logistics finds it and does it. We provide transportation for responders and develop a transportation plan. If we needed to send several responders to one area, and this isn't going to really play for the COVID-19, it could, I suppose, but really right now, what's that if we had a fire and there was a one-way road, we don't want people coming both ways. So we would develop a transportation plan that it's one way in or one way out, or a time frame, or something along those lines. Finance. Finance tracks the incident costs. What is this going to cost? They handle any claims. So if there's any claims or compensation issues that come up, that's what finance does. If we break something on a fire, on a big fire, if you break something, it has to go through the finance sections. And the bigger fires, they even have a claims section that you go to them and you say, we broke a mirror on a fire engine. And they say, okay, take it to here. Here's your approval, or no, we're not going to approve that because it was driver error. Whatever the case may be, we then go to claims, compensation, and see if we can get those done. Finance negotiates and develops contracts. So if planning says, tomorrow, we're going to need a jet. They go, we're going to need a jet. They send that to logistics. Logistics goes, oh yeah, we will find you a jet. And we're going to get a big jet, and it's going to be awesome. We send that to finance, and finance says, yeah, I've been trying to negotiate a contract for a jet. We're getting you a Cessna. You are not going to get a jet. We can't afford it, first of all, and I can't get a better deal than this, so you get a Cessna instead of a jet. So finance goes, nope, we can't afford it. Finance also tracking personnel and tracking equipment time. You know, how much time on those contracts, if we get a specialized piece of equipment, we're going to track the personnel on that, or we're going to track the time that it takes that we're using that piece of equipment. They make all the payments, and they develop a budget for a long-term incident. What's this look like? And they handle cost recovery. Right now we're tracking everything. If this happens to become a disaster, and it has in some states, then there's a possibility of some cost recovery. So we're really keeping track, and finance is keeping track of tracking incident costs. So all the incident costs are going to the finance section chief, which then is holding those and keeping track of those for a possibility for cost recovery. So this is a good slide. Command sets goals. They develop strategies. They approve resource procurement, if we're going to get resources. They use and release, and they monitor all the incident activities. Operations, they get that down from command and say, okay, I understand what your goals and strategies are, and they make tactical objectives out of those. They supervise all the tactical resources and monitor the effectiveness. Planning, we talked about it. They track everything. They develop the contingency plan, and they drive the formal planning process. It gets really formal, and how do we plan for the future? What happens tomorrow? Logistics, we find you what you need. We make sure communications are good, make sure we got good facilities. We look at support services, being food unit, medical unit, everything that goes along with taking care of the incident. That's what logistics is in charge of, is taking care of the incident and getting what they need to make sure that we're meeting command's needs. Finance, they track everything that has to do with money, and they work on cost recovery. So in a nutshell, command approves resource orders. So command says, I need something. And operation says, yeah, I'll use it. Planning says, well, we need to keep track of it. And it comes down to logistics. Logistics says, well, first of all, you don't have it yet, but when I get it for you, you can use it, and we can do what the command wants to do, and then planning, you can track it, and finance, you're going to pay for it. We want you to pay for it. So I use a very simple way to think about this. Command says we need to get in a pickup and we need to drive 300 miles to go pick something up. Operation says, yep, command, we can do that. We'll get in the pickup and we'll go do it. Planning says, whoa, 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 whoa. Hold on. What if you get a flat tire and you know you're going to need gas if you're going 300 miles? So, and logistics comes up and says, hey, planning, I gotcha. I can get them gas. I'll even get them a spare tire. And by the way, that pickup's not going to make it, but I got you another new one. Here you go. And finance says, okay, we'll pay for that 300-mile trip as long as you take this, because it's not going to cost us a lot for fuel if you're driving the Prius. So that's how that all fits together in it, very simply. So that is our training. I'm going to look right now on our thing here, or it's not coming up. Here it goes. To see if anybody has any questions. I'm trying. Oh, shoot. I'm not able to get the pin up on that correctly. Gordon's coming out to give me a hand real quick, and we'll get that up and see if there was any questions. I went through that really quickly, really fast, because I've sat there and watched things too, and I don't like to sit forever. But I think it gives you an overview. One of the other things I want to really talk about is, what I want to talk about is how will you be contacted if you're needed in the EOC. We're going to contact you. I've got a list of community members, and we got a list of City of Canby people. So we will be contacting you through those lists. Other thing that goes along with that, I want to tell you what to expect. If you come to the fire station and you're asked to come to the EOC, one of the things to expect is when you come to our lobby, this fire station's locked up. It's completely locked. When you get there, you'll go to the vestibule area. There's a phone to pick up. You pick up that phone, it's going to ring a phone inside. And you're going to say what you're there for. A firefighter's going to come to the door. Don't be alarmed if they come in a mask. They come with safety glasses. And they come to you, they bring you in, just inside the door. Once you're inside the door, you'll be asked some questions. You'll be told to sign in. Then you'll get your temperature taken. Then you will go straight from there to the restroom that's right there to wash your hands. So again, don't be alarmed. We're going to take your temperature. We're going to make you wash your hands. We're going to ask you a few questions before you're allowed to come the rest of the way into the fire station, because we want to be really careful with what's going on. And I think that is the only question that we had. Again, thank you very much for participating in this. If you do need to come to the EOC, we'll have a little more training, but this gave you an overview of kind of what to expect and what the EOC system looks like. Please stay home. Let's flatten this curve. Let's get through this. And the only way we can get through this is we get through this together. Thank you for watching.